Hello and welcome to Banya Chat. My name's Thomas Barnes, and here with me today I have Rosie, I have Heavens, and I have Frank from our Banya Chat last week. And this week we'll be talking about carers' rights. Carers' Rights Day was on the 26th of November. And we just want to talk about it because it's so important, because at Banya we want to make sure that we represent our carers. Carers Rights Day is important because it ensures that carers are aware of their rights. We want to let our carers know where they can get help and support, and we want to raise awareness for the needs of carers in the UK. So I'm going to say hello to Rosie first. Would you like to tell us about what are some of the carers' rights that carers have, please?
Okay, hi. Yeah, it's very important for Banya to uphold the rights of the carers. And some of those are that carers are able to have a right to the information about the child or the young person that they are going to be fostering. They also have that right to be able to say no to a particular pairing. It may not be that it's right for them, or there may be reasons around family, and they have the right to be able to say no to that particular placement. They have the right to attend meetings about the child or the young person, to find out, about things that might possibly be going on in that child's life or young person's life, and making decisions and contributing to the decision making for the child or young person, because after all, they have the child or young person's best interest at heart. They have the right to receive training. There's somebody on the team Heavens who states something very important, and I think it's absolutely fantastic that training is very much like vegetables. It may not be always something that you really enjoy doing, but it's important, and Banya really upholds the training, and it is fantastic and it is relevant to the role. Another right that Banya gives to the foster carers as well is having a backup, having a support system, being able to have conversations and having that person, social worker, to be able to support you, to be paid an allowance to meet the child's needs. That's a right. And also to be able to have all the information that they need to access the role and to do their role the best they can.
Absolutely, and obviously, we listen to our carers, and we want our carers to be as involved in the child's placement as we can, because nobody spends more time with that child than the carer themselves. The child lives with them, so who's going to know them better than the child themselves or their carer? And sometimes the carer even knows the child better than they know themselves. Yeah. And that's an excellent bond that we try to have with between our carers and our placements.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and obviously, when we're presented with a child, that we always try and match them with the best carer. So that maybe the carer that we have provides a certain role, or has a certain background or history or education or specialized training that we've provided, that or the experience that would be best matched with that child. And that's what we look for in our matching process. And we pass this information on to the carer about the child, and if the child is suitable for them, then they obviously have the ability to make that decision.
Definitely. Banya takes into consideration your preferences. We listen to the information about your family and what best might suit you. And like you say, I mean, things like work commitments and stuff, some people have amazing jobs that they absolutely love, and we take into consideration the types of children and the ages of the children as well. But ultimately, even when the foster carers get that phone call and, you know, they're told that, you know, there is this child or young person, it is ultimately their own decision to either say yes or no.
Mm.
So yeah.
And you said that that Heavens made a very important point about vegetables
Training,
and
yeah.
comparing training with vegetables. Heavens, would you like to elaborate on that point?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think training is a very important part of the fostering journey, and especially when you are starting out as a foster carer, we encourage that you attend training, especially the first year. So it is a right that you should receive training for the job, for the role, especially that you have embarked on. So you know, it would be very detrimental to your profession and also to the needs of the child if the foster carer is not properly trained. So it's an absolute right, and it's something that every foster carer has to have access to on a monthly basis.
Mm. And Banya is very like regimented on that training. Like we offer training to all our carers, like regardless, and even in even recently, like what we used to happen was we would have a place where all the carers would meet on a monthly basis to have the training. But since the pandemic and the lockdown, we've moved all that online, and we've given access to that online, so we continue providing this support and care.
Absolutely.
Frank, you know about Banya being on call all hours of the day and supporting their carers. What would you tell us about that?
I would say definitely one thing I would mention is that obviously as working with Banya is that we like to make sure that carers don't feel alone, especially this whole time with the whole carers. Want to make sure that they have someone to talk to, they have that support when they do struggle when taking care of the thing, and for them to also taking care of the child, and also for them to know their own rights, like Louise was mentioning. So we have the really good support system within Banya as well.
Mm, absolutely. And we always encourage, we, as well as not just within, it's not just like it's not just us supporting our carers, but also friends, family, um, anyone involved that the carer may know can also support that. And we encourage our carers to know each other, especially if they live in close proximity to each other.
Yeah.
That then they can help each other and support each other and back up each other. Say that a carer has to have an emergency go to the hospital for an emergency, then the carer can just be there to support them.
Absolutely. And you know, one of the things that obviously people who are listening have to also understand is that when you're a foster carer, you've got different rights as the birth parent, because the foster carer is just a temporary kind of an arrangement. So you're looking after the child on behalf of the local authority for a specified time. So the rights that you have will differ from the rights of the parent. So foster carer would need to have a delegated authority to do certain things, and their rights obviously go onto a certain level or to a certain point. So that's very important, right? So, for example, the local authority may whilst you're looking after the child, you know, the birth parents may still retain the right, for example, to decide on the haircut of the child, you know, whether they should get a haircut or not. So whilst you have rights over decision making of what happens with the child, and to be taught, to be informed about what's happening, you know, those rights obviously are limited because of your capacity as a foster carer. But you definitely do have a right, like what Rose was saying, to support. Support is something that is very key when you're in fostering, and it's a right for you to have access to support of a supervised supervising social worker who will give you help and support with to access the specific services that you need in order for you to help the child. So, for example, the social worker has to be there to help you access schools, especially if you're having challenges accessing the GP. The social worker is also there to be the stand in between to help you access those services so that you're best able to meet the needs of the child. So support is a very key part of what we do, and because we understand that it is a right.
Yeah, and obviously with the the supervising social worker is also there to look at the best interest of the placement and also the best interest of the carer. So there's regular the social worker will meet with the carers regularly, check in with the child, check in with the placement, check in with the carer, and obviously like we said, we always have 24 hours a day on call, because and a difficulty could pop up at any time, and we will always be there to support the needs of our placement and our carers.
Absolutely, yeah. So Rose mentioned something earlier about the right to say no to a placement. It is an important a right. However, at Banya we observe and we uphold those rights. However, our approach is to support you to get to a point where you're able to understand the kind of children that you are best suited for you. So we're not there to force you to take a child or to say, do this or do that, but we support you to understand. So when we're assessing you, we'll go through your family profile, look at your family circumstances, and we'll actually have a discussion with you about the kind of children that you would want to look after, and would advise you on what is the best route in terms of what is going on in your family, in your household, the ages of your children. So by the time you get to panel where you are now approved, again, your supervising social worker is also there to support you because things change through the assessment. So for example, you may have started an assessment whilst you are pregnant, and then by the time you get approved, you've got a baby in the house. So obviously the age groups of kids you can look after maybe changes. So the supervisor social worker is there to help you to understand and to see which placements are best suited for you. But so Banya will never really say, take this, do this, but we give you all the information and the support, and the decision is always up to you. So for example, if you have a situation where you go for a month or two and you're not accepting any placements, which is your right. Again, we don't force you to say, well, if you don't take a placement, then you're going to strike you off the register. Our approach again is to sit down with you and understand why you're saying no to every placement, because there will obviously be the reasons why you're saying no. And once we understand the reasons why, we're then able to support you to get to a point where you're actually able to take on some new placements.
Sorry, just to add as well, I was going to say, as Banya, we aim to make sure that we have the support for everyone. And for those who are not in Banya, we just want to say thank you for the work that you're taking care of. Even during the pandemic, about 34,000 were unpaid carers during this whole pandemic. And we just want to come as a Banya, as a whole group, saying thank you very much for the work that you're doing, and that you are cared for, and and that's what I would like to say.
That's an excellent point. This is carers' rights, not just Banya carers' rights. And you said 34,000 unpaid carers, and we just want to tip our hats to you and say what a massive thank you and appreciation and respect we have for all the work that you do, because especially during this pandemic, we know how difficult it must be, but the importance of the role that you provide is essential, that you are an essential to people's lives. And same with our, but it's the same with our carers. They are essential to Banya, and they are essential to our foster placements as well.
And bottom line, Banya wants to support and champion, and they value each and every carer. So Banya will do whatever they need to do to make sure that each carer is comfortable and happy with being a foster carer. And we will give you every support that you need.
Absolutely. Oh, well, I think that this has been an amazing chat. I want to thank everyone for watching us. I would like you to, if you know someone that is an unpaid carer or a carer, just show them how much you appreciate them and how thankful you are to have them in your life. And thank you, Rosie. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Heavens, for joining me and speaking about this subject, because I think that's very important.
Pleasure.
It's a pleasure.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thanks.